Good morning. Today's lesson is for Saxon Math Course 3. If you have a book at home, this is lesson 93, and we're talking about equations with exponents. So I started out by explaining what a quadratic equation is. Basically, it's any equation. An equation is a number sentence with an equal sign that has a variable with an exponent of 2. Not an exponent of 3 or more, but 2 and only 2. So my first example here is x squared is equal to 25. So we find the solution to this equation by taking the square root of each side of the equation. So we would take the square root of x squared and we would take the square root of 25. So what we're looking for is x, because here squared and square root, they cancel each other out. So on this side we have x. On this side we're looking for what number times itself is equal to 25. Kalan?
5.
That is correct. Positive 5 times positive 5 will equal 25. But also, do you know the second answer?
Negative 5.
Negative 5 times negative 5 will also equal 25. So we can write this like this with this plus and minus sign. And what we say is x is equal to positive or negative 5 as our answer. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tougher example here. Get rid of this one so we have space. We have 2x squared plus 7 equals 25. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one first without Kalan. So here's my example. My ultimate goal is to get x all by itself. So I have to kind of start breaking away at this equation to get x by itself. So I'm going to start with anything that's not attached to an x, and in this case it's my plus 7. How do I get rid of a plus 7? I subtract 7. So, and in order to keep it equal, I've got to do that on both sides. So now my plus 7 minus 7 cancels out and it's just equal to 0, but I do still have a 2x squared on the left side of the equation. On the right side of the equation, I have 25 minus 7, which would give me 18. So my next piece, I want to get rid of this coefficient. What this means, 2x squared, is that I have 2 times x squared. So in order to cancel out times 2, I need to divide by 2, inverse operations. And whatever I do on the left, I also need to make sure I do on the right. So my times 2 divided by 2 cancels out. Now I just have x squared is equal to 9. 18 divided by 2 is 9. How did I cancel out the x squared in the previous problem? What cancels out a square, Kalan?
A square root.
A square root. So I want to take the square root of x squared, which is just going to give me x all by itself. And I want to take the square root of 9, which our new little symbol here is plus or minus, because positive 3 or negative 3 times itself will give me 9. So my final answer to this original problem is x is equal to plus or minus or positive or negative 3. Okay, I have another example for you. All right, 2x squared equals 16. Kalan, I'm going to ask for your help with this. How do I get my x by itself?
First, you would have to divide the 2 by 2.
Divide by 2.
And that would cancel. And then you would also divide the 16 by 2.
I want to keep my equation equal, so I have to do the same thing to both sides.
So now you would have x squared equals 8.
Okay.
And then you would have to find the square root of x square root of 8.
Do we have a whole number answer for this problem?
No, it would be irrational.
No. So if you've been working in course 3, you've learned how to simplify this. Kalan, can you tell me what to do?
So I like doing the tree diagram version of it. So I would divide it by the smallest prime number I could, so 2, and then 4.
So 2 times 4 is 8.
And then you could also divide 4 by 2
So 2 times 2
is 4.
is 4.
And so now these two would group together.
So we have 2 times 2, and if we take the square root of that, we just get
2.
2. And then we have this 2 left over. Where does he go?
He goes under his own little square root.
So for this problem, 2x squared equals 16. Our final answer is 2 root 2. Okay, for the next problem, we have a picture. So I have a rectangle over here with one side length of 9 centimeters and another side length of x. And then I have a second rectangle. In this case, this side length is x, and this side length is 16 centimeters. So they're telling us the two rectangles are similar. Find x by solving this proportion, and then they give us the proportion of 9 over x is equal to x over 16. Whenever I see a fraction equal to a fraction, my favorite way to solve this is cross multiplication. So I'm going to multiply 9 times 16. So let's do it over here. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 1 plus 5 is 14. So I've got 144 equals, and then I'm going to multiply x times x, which gives me x squared. Now, to solve for just one x, what do I need to do, Kalan?
You have to find the square root.
I have to find the square root. Okay, so what is the square root of 144?
12.
So what would my answer be? Remember, plus or minus 12
centimeters.
So mathematically, this is what we're looking at with our numbers. However, we have to take the problem into consideration. We're talking about a distance, and we're talking about a number of centimeters. Can we have negative 12 centimeters?
No.
No. So in this particular problem, the negative does not make sense as an answer. So we know that our answer is just 12 centimeters equals x. Okay? All right. Our final example is a word problem. It says Jamie is making a mosaic using 100 1-inch square tiles. If the shape of his mosaic is to be a square, how long should each side be? So we know that Jamie has 100 1-inch square tiles. That is information given to us in the problem. We know that his mosaic is going to be a square. So we need to figure out how long should each side be. That's our variable. We know it's a square, so we know that this side is x, and this side is also going to be x. And how would I set this up into an equation, Kalan?
We put 100
we know we have 100 total tiles.
Over x.
Okay, so we're not talking about a ratio here. We're talking about the formula to find the area of a square.
Okay, so 100 equals x squared.
Yes. So to find the area of a square, we take the side length and multiply it times itself, x squared. And we know that he only has 100 tiles to work with, so that we know his area has to be 100. A equals x squared. Our a in this case is 100. Now, how do we solve this? Well, we have x squared. We're going to have to cancel that out by taking the square root. And we'll take the square root of this side, so we get x over here. And square root of 100 is
10.
plus or minus 10. Although, once again, this is a word problem and we're talking about side length. Can we have negative 10 squares as our side length?
No.
No, we cannot. So we know our answer is 10 tiles. Or 10 inches. It is looking for length. It says about how long should each side be. So instead of 10 tiles, we are going to write 10 inches long. And we're talking about length, not area, so we do not put the squared after the inches there. Okay? Those are your example problems. We do have a practice set. I'm going to put a couple up on